Before any deal gets made, fix the foundation. That's the message President Trump sent to congressional Republicans this week. Pass electoral identification legislation first, before sitting down for broader negotiations. It's a bold legislative move, and it's deliberate. For years, voter verification has been one of the most debated and most misrepresented issues in American politics. Today, we cut through the noise. What does the SAVE Act actually propose? How do other democracies handle voter ID? And what does it mean when a president says this issue comes before everything else? The answers matter, because elections are the foundation of everything that follows. Let's build from the ground up. Here's a question that rarely gets asked fairly. Why do most democracies require voter ID? France does, Germany does, Canada does. India, the world's largest democracy, does. The United States is actually an outlier in not having a uniform federal standard. The SAVE Act aims to change that by establishing federal voter registration verification requirements, a standardized baseline that supporters argue is long overdue. The core argument is simple. Public confidence in election outcomes is not optional in a democracy, it's foundational. And when millions of Americans question whether their vote carries equal weight, that's not just a political problem, it's a civic one. Thoughtfully designed ID systems with free credentials and flexible documentation can protect both integrity and access. That's not a contradiction, that's good policy. Trump's move here is textbook high-leverage negotiation. Establish your non-negotiables before the broader bargaining begins. By telling Republicans to prioritize electoral ID legislation before engaging Democrats on other issues, the president is doing two things simultaneously. First, he's signaling to his base that election integrity isn't a bargaining chip, it's a prerequisite. Second, he's forcing the issue onto the legislative calendar before it gets buried in budget fights and procedural delays. Political observers on both sides acknowledge this approach. When you control the agenda, you control the outcome. The risk, as always, is gridlock, but for an administration that has consistently bet on bold action over cautious incrementalism, that's a risk they've shown they're willing to take. Let's address the most common objection head-on. Voter ID disenfranchises people. It's a serious concern, and it deserves a serious answer. The data shows that voter fraud in the U.S. is statistically rare. That's true. But here's what's also true. Public confidence in election security has real consequences, regardless of the underlying fraud rate. When voters don't trust the process, participation erodes, legitimacy suffers, democracy weakens. The question then isn't ID or no ID. It's how do you design a system that works for everyone? Several states have already answered that question. Free state-issued credentials, mobile enrollment units that go to underserved communities, extended registration deadlines, high satisfaction rates across demographics. It's been done. It can be done nationally. The blueprint exists. The path forward on this legislation runs through three checkpoints: public opinion, the courts, and congressional arithmetic. On public opinion, polling consistently supports voter ID requirements across party lines, including among many Democratic-leaning voters. On the courts, well-designed systems with accessible alternatives have survived legal scrutiny in multiple states. On Congress, the math is tight, but the administration's leverage play is designed to narrow those margins. Ultimately, the goal isn't just passing a law, it's building a system that every American, regardless of party, can point to and say, I know my vote counts, and I know it was counted fairly. That's not a partisan victory, that's a democratic one. Secure elections, accessible voting, trusted outcomes. Trump's push to prioritize electoral ID legislation isn't just a legislative maneuver, it's a statement about what democracy requires to function. The details of implementation will determine whether this becomes a model for the nation or another flashpoint in an endless debate. What matters most to you in voting policy? Verification standards, accessibility, or bipartisan buy-in? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe to Critical Point and hit the bell for analysis that goes deeper than the talking points. Thanks for watching.